what it does is actually acts as a base. It stays as a base and pushes the fragrance to the top. Yes. Perfumer's magic, what it does is basically makes your fragrance, make it perfume grade. You know what, like when you're actually getting into the fragrance business, it's not as simple as just making scent. You're not blending oils. You're actually blending some kind of emotions. You're making somebody believe that, okay, yes, this is what actually reminds them of their previous memory. Key is to stretch fragrance if you need to stretch them. But the thing is that, the fragrances needs only stretching when it's required. And not every fragrance is always needed to be like stretched. Good, that means you basically, when you do this, it actually stretches the fragrance even longer, even more, which you can actually smell the lighter notes a lot more. We're actually setting up some oils that are like specifically for body sprays. So actually the cost is cheaper. The fragrances are made in such a way that they can actually be worn for a longer period of time. Because body sprays are different than the perfumes itself.
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
cool.
So I'm working on starting a new business of body scrubs and shea butters, and so I've been buying my essential oils, and I think I've made maybe 3 or 4 purchases from you guys.
Oh, cool. Well,
Yeah.
thank you very much for coming. We're gonna be talking about scents and how to actually use them in your products. So this is perfect. This is I'm glad you came. But today's main topic is to talk about how to start a fragrance. When you actually, a lot of people, when they start their fragrance business, the main things for them is like, hey, I want to make it smell nice. I want to make it smell nice. What is smell nice to one person mean one thing versus other. Just like if you're watching a movie or a story, sometimes you're watching a comedy and sometimes you're watching a, adventure, and the other one is like action. One is like romance. All these movies, they actually have a very specific direction that they're going. When you're actually making a fragrance, it's the same thing. You're actually trying to tell a story. You're actually trying to go ahead and deliver an information like what you actually feel without saying a word. And actually, it's very much like just by the smell that okay, this guy actually is putting something in there. So it's very important when you're actually making your fragrance, how you actually direct your fragrance and which direction you're taking it to. So let's say, for example, if you want to go ahead and make a fragrance, I want to make a perfume that smells really nice. Well, what is nice to you? So I would like to go ahead and pick maybe one person. Let's pick Jennifer. Tell me one fragrance that you would like to make.
I'll go with Symphony.
Symphony. Okay. So tell me, what is Symphony? If it's Symphony, then what are the main notes in them?
I guess grapefruit, ginger.
Grapefruit. Okay, perfect. So you have grapefruit and ginger. Would you like to have anything else in it?
I would tweak it a little bit. I like sandalwood.
Okay, so now you're talking base.
Yes.
So now they're talking base, and now the 2 top notes that you said was like the top notes. What would be the other part that you would like to have in there?
The middle part.
Okay.
Well, I guess I would go with a tea. Some type
Tea,
of
okay.
smell, but I don't think that's still on the top.
Actually, tea would be actually a middle note too. So you can actually go ahead and tweak it. The teas, you can make the teas a little bit more heavier by adding more base to it. Like you can actually add, we were talking about scent boosters. Scent booster can actually basically overall fragrance, it can actually push it up. But tea would do good, and you can actually add a little bit more, like a little bit of fruits to it, or floral. How do you want to make it more masculine, or do you want to make it more feminine? Which direction you want to actually take it? It's very important. Also, when you're making your fragrance, it's very important that how long do you want to make the fragrance to last? Do you want to? Oh no, I just want to make my fragrance to last all day long. It doesn't work that way. You need to go ahead and start a story. You need to end the story. If you're watching a lot of American movies, they're 90 minutes. They finish in 90 minutes. And then you watch something from the East, they last for 3 hours. The movie goes on and on and on. It's just that this is what they're used to. They want to watch the movie for a longer period of time because they're enjoying the movie for a longer period of time. The fragrances basically are the same way you need to go ahead and make sure that the fragrances are like, if you want to make the fragrance last more than 8 hours, then, you know, some people might just get bored. It's like, hey man, it's too much on me. And some people who actually are like very niche, or they're like really enjoy a lot of fragrances, they might just want to have it like maybe for 2 hours. You know, do you go for dinner for 2 to 4 hours? Do you go for dinner for 8 hours? You know, how much enjoyment do you actually need while you're actually having your fun time? You know, there's a fun time, and then there's a, you know, other one. So depends on how you wanna go ahead and, like, you know, tell your story to the person who actually what you're trying to tell. You need to make sure that you actually create your fragrance in such a way that it doesn't go over more than what you're looking for. That's why you see certain fragrances only last for 4 to 5 hours, because this perfumer actually decided that, okay, I want to go ahead and tell my story in 4 hours, and I'm happy. And it could be very expensive. It could be using Rose Absolute. You know, Rose Absolute will not last as long, you know, but it's one of the most expensive ingredients in the world. Some of the jasmine narcotic scents, you know, they last for all day, and some people love putting it on there. So depends on that. A lot of people actually have dry skin. The fragrances do not stay. Even if the fragrance, some of fragrances might last 8 hours plus on one person, but the same fragrance on the other person, it might not last as long. It will last only like maybe for like 3 hours or 4 hours, because their dry skin is very dry. The body heat is a lot more. So for that, they need to moisturize. Body butters, I would suggest any fragrance that actually are heavy with bases. Unless you want the fragrance not to last too long, then you can actually go ahead and put the top notes high. But otherwise, I would say that, you know, when I'm looking for body butters, I'm looking for top notes to be, like base notes to be strong, because there is no delivery method besides your body heat. So in perfume, you actually have like alcohol or some kind of a projection way to project it.
So what particular scent would you, when you say that, which one?
I like personally, like, you know, for my personal taste, I like heavy scents. Like I like patchouli. I like heavy scents like woody scents. I like musky scents. I like musky scents are really good. Sandalwood is really good. Ambers are like very good for the body. For the men, a lot of men like cedarwood. Cedarwood is very good for the base if you're trying to like create a base that's going to stay and then linger for a longer period of time. Soaps, again, you know, if you're doing cold process or you're doing hot process, there are two different versions. You know, it's a whole subject by itself, but I would say that if you're doing soaps, are you trying to do hot or cold? Like you're trying to like melt and pour? Melt and pour, okay. If you're doing melt and pour, the best, again, is going to be any scent. You can actually use pretty much anything. If it's melt and pour, you can actually use top notes heavy like citrus. You can do tea scents are really good. You can also do base scents like, you know, of course, your musky rose is really good for like soap products. We also have all the florals are really good. Edible foods, all the food, they're like, you can actually use those. They're like really good for soaps. They will like stay. They will not leave, because most of them are made out of resinoids. So they actually stick to the soap a lot longer. Next one is we're going to actually have a workshop. So you will be able to go, we're going to actually tell you exactly what you're going to need. We're going to try to focus on fragrances first. So anybody who's actually trying to come up with their own scent, for example, you might have, like she's saying that, you know, she's having a wedding for her family, remember?
Yeah, for a friend. Yeah.
For a friend. So they're trying to create a whole event for them. So they might just want to make scents. You're trying to do the body butter product, and he actually does like beard balms and beard products. One is to actually connect you guys, because you might have one person might come up with better than the other, and you guys can share ideas. That's very important. When I started the fragrance business was like very hush-hush. Nobody wanted to share what's actually happening. If you share your ideas, it's just going to multiply. You guys can talk to each other that, hey, I'm doing this, and I'm coming up with this. What do you think? And then the other person will say, okay, maybe I can direct you on this direction. Maybe you can do this. I might do it for myself too. But it's not going to hurt. It's going to actually bring more business to you. And you can grow yourself. So on the workshop, what we're going to do is we're going to actually let you know that, okay, you can buy 10 oils. I don't care where you buy from. You can bring your 10, 20 oils. We're going to let you have a beaker, a little, measurement tools that you need. We have a scale that you can actually get, a small scale. And then you can start letting you see you that how to blend and make your sample. Because what actually most of the people are doing now these days is when they actually buy oils, they say, I want 4 ounces of oil, or I want 8 ounces of oil. And they take the 8 ounce of bottle and then take the other 8 ounce of bottle, they blend it, which costs a lot of money for making that kind of product. And now the whole oil is gone because now you cannot separate the oils. Because once they're made, they're just done. So the purpose is that what can we do to show you how to make smaller portions of samples. So you can take like a 10 ml bottle, 15 ml bottles, and then you can take drops and you can actually count them and you can actually get the same result as actually you would get for an 8 ounce bottle would. So the next, I think it's going to be the first week of November. That's when the class is going to be, and at that time, pretty much everybody will be in one class, but everybody have their own project. When we were actually in our classes, we were doing one project, but like, man, I'm not really looking to do this. I'm looking for this. So the fragrance should be a very much creative thing and should be a fun thing. You should be able to go ahead and come up with your own ideas, and you can actually make it real. Yeah. Workshop is free. It's basically whatever he charges you for the class. So I don't charge anything. I like to do this free of cost. This is my way of giving back to the community. So I don't want to charge nothing. I'm very happy because you're already buying things from us. And if you do buy from us, that's good. If you don't buy from us, that's good too. So it's not required. Purchase is not required. You just come in, you do your project, and if it actually helps you grow in your business, I'm happy.
Kind of fragrances, like so much emphasis on people, wanting to know what they're putting in their bodies, what type of chemicals are in their fragrances. How would you approach, marketing a clean line?
Now, that basically you're talking natural or organic perfumery. So when you talk natural or organic perfumery, I'm kind of like my teacher, like all my teachers when we were learning. Okay, before I actually answer this, I would like to go ahead and go back because I also have a background in extraction. So I do a lot of extraction. So I understand the whole process between taking a apple and then taking the peel off and then going back all the way down to the iron. That's what I'm looking for. So if I'm looking for iron, I can actually go ahead and separate it out. So in the process of doing this, what actually happens is when you're starting to take the one layer at a time, we're taking those layers off, to a point where it comes to a point that, okay, hey, it's an iron, it's not an apple anymore. So basically what actually happens is people think that it's not natural anymore because it's considered an iron that is not directly from the ground, it actually came from the apple. Okay, so my personal look on the natural perfumery side would be, hey man, you basically calling this natural, but actually, is it really natural? Because it's still an individual molecule. Natural will be like taking an apple and eating it. But anything that you're actually peeling it off, it won't be less. So only thing you probably will be able to work is essential oils, resinoids, and if you consider terpenes as other source. But other than that, anything other than that would not be 100% natural. So to make those products, you might need to go ahead and do a little bit more research. But we can definitely help you on that side if you do need it. Yes. Well, essential oils, resinoids, and natural oils, essential oils, and basically maybe some terpenes. Yeah, terpenes basically comes from D-limonene from the orange peel, because you actually are doing a cold process terpenes. So actually cold process terpenes would be the ones would be considered natural to me. Anything other than that, you're basically doing a process to it. And if you do a process, it's not natural. Yeah. Yes?
What
Yeah, basically it would be a solvent base. So you can actually go ahead and you can actually dilute it to make it skin safe. Yes, definitely. So even essential oils, 100% pure is not direct. You definitely gonna need to do the dilutions. Yes, very important. So if I'm using cinnamon for just for the thing, cinnamon direct, you can't really use it. People use capsicum, or they're using pepper essential oils. They definitely need to be like diluted, or clove, eugenol. Those are they require a lot of dilutions, like 0.01%, to make sure that if you're using it on the body, even if it's natural. It's extract. So extracting is basically what if you take the actual product, you can actually do it a couple of ways. You can actually take, like, let's say for example, rose, and you can take the rose petals and you can actually put like some kind of like beef fat on it, like tallow on it, and then you leave it there for the tallow to absorb it. Once tallow absorbs it, then you take the tallow and you remove that tallow out of it, and you take the tallow and you start distilling it. You put it in a big huge pot, close it, and put a very slow heat. And the heat will actually flow on the other side, and you will actually start to collect. We have to put some water and ice and other stuff. But basically on the other side, you will actually collect the oil and the hydrosol. Yeah, that would be a very detailed process. If you want to get into distillation, this will be like, yeah. But you can actually create your own rose by actually taking the rose fragrance that we already have and add a little delaminine to it, or add a little rose to it, or add a little bit of clove in there, and you can tweak it. You can actually learn more about, just like Bulgaria might have a rose that, okay, it's growing in a place where there's a big huge farm and there's lots of goats, and there's little babies who there too, and then babies actually they roam around without diapers. All that actually will create the rose to smell in a certain way. There are birds who actually fly there, certain types, and those birds will actually create certain scent because they're coming from maybe from the east or the west, and they're bringing seeds and putting into the ground, and it will actually create another type of rose scent. The rose do not smell the same everywhere. So if you take an Indian rose versus a Pakistani rose, even there's like a border, you will find like two different roses. If you go to Bulgaria, they smell totally different. If you go to Iran, that's where another rose is from, they smell different. Turkish is a totally different rose. American rose, if you go to especially towards like Washington area, though they smell totally different. So Night Queen, that's another one that smells everywhere different, not the same. One guy, when I started the warehouse here, he was an electrician. He's not here. He actually is in Louisiana right now, and he's doing really good. He was an electrician, but he said, Numan, I want to start my air freshener business, man. I just want to do air fresheners. So, so I said, okay, well, let me go and help you with the air freshener. So I showed him the base, and I showed him how to make an air freshener. He went to Louisiana. He got a small little weekend shop, and he started selling, and he slowly built his business to a point where he called his fragrances called Auto Fresh. So he got like a whole line of car scents, and he does like really good. And this is his full-time job now. He quit everything, just does full-time. So you can actually do very, very good. Just be consistent, just keep doing it, and there is always growth in this business. Honestly, I started as selling incense on the street. Yes, I literally used to sell incense on the street. I also sold newspapers on the street too, but that was before that. It's called Loud. Yeah, so it's in lots of stores. Yes, many stores, lots of people. So I'll teach you exactly how I make my incense. Learn it, do it, and sell it too. The business will never get less; it's going to increase. Oh, Perfumer's Magic. Okay. So Perfumer's Magic was the big problem that every single perfumer has. Okay, especially me. When I was making my perfumes smelled alcohol-y, and they didn't smell right. So the biggest thing was that, you know, when I was making something, I was like, okay, well, it doesn't smell right. The perfumes are changing. It doesn't last as the way they're supposed to. So what we did was we actually came up with a formula. The ingredients are all listed on the Perfumer's Magic itself. There are other solvents that we actually added. So instead of just selling a perfumer's alcohol, what we did was we actually made a base out of it. With that base, what actually it does is it actually holds the fragrance a lot more stronger than a regular alcohol would do. So that was the main reason for it. Now, what other benefits of using Perfumer's Magic is, number one, if you use a regular alcohol, there's a time that you need to wait, because you have to wait for like 3 days, 5 days, and sometimes you have to wait for a month to completely get into it, and then the smell actually takes over. What we do with our Perfumer's Magic is we actually do a distillation. So when the product is completely made, we actually put it through different filters. It takes up to 4 to 7 times before the filtration is completed, to make sure that, okay, every single time the quality is always the same. So we do all that work before. By the time you get the product, it's pretty much ready to go, so you don't have to worry about an extra step. So it cuts down time. Time is one of the biggest assets a person can have. I would just use Perfumer's Magic. It just solves your problem. You're welcome to use whatever you're using. You can do blend to get, finish that up, because now you're thinking, hey man, I spent $40 there, now $40. What do I do with that? You need to finish that. I get it. Trust me. If you're thinking about a problem, I've been there. So the best thing just to do is, if you want to blend it, you can just do a 50-50 blend and it should be fine. That one doesn't have any ingredients that actually are light sensitive, so you can actually keep it in light. It should be fine, like normal, but just keep the temperature low. 70, 75 is like ideal when you're talking Perfumer's Magic. There's 2 different things happening. You're basically saying, okay, I have 20 passengers, okay, and I have a car that only can fit 6. What can I do to stretch that car? For that, you're gonna need DPG. You want to stretch the fragrance so you can actually accommodate more. Okay, that will slow the speed down because the car engine is not strong. Perfumer's Magic, on the other hand, I want to deliver. I want to go ahead and go to certain area, and I want to go ahead and deliver this in certain areas. Like I want to cover like a 50-mile radius. The car needs to go in that radius constantly and stay there. What do? Perfumer's Magic will do that. Perfumer's Magic will deliver, will create the projection of your scent to the outside of the world that you're trying to do it. So your oil can basically stay, and it should deliver the scent, like create the aura around you.
So really no need to use both.
It depends. If you, like, let's say for example, there's a fragrance that actually is too strong. It's too strong for a normal person to smell. Like for example, I told you earlier the story, how long the story needs to last. Mm-hmm. If your fragrance is lasting like 8 hours and and it's too strong, it gives you headaches. What can you do? You can actually add a little bit of DPG, and it's gonna like dim down, tone it down a little bit. So it's not gonna hurt hey man, it's too strong. It's just hitting me on my head. I want to calm it down. Then you can add a little bit of DPG. Can you use the DPG in wax?
Right.
No. No, you cannot. So for liquids only, yeah. So if you're using in a wax, the wax will not work because of the dipropylene glycol. So there's like 2 molecules, and it doesn't work. So let's keep it that way. But what can you use in replacement? You can actually use benzyl benzoate. Coconut oil, you can use coconut oil, but on a smaller amount, I guess. Are you using RBD? For the wax? RBD coconut oil? Because that's the best one to use. Because it will solidify again to stretch the fragrance.
No, I haven't been diluting fragrances at all.
So if you want to tone it down, you can use coconut oil, but use RBD.
So the coconut oil is for the throat. So you said Perfumer's Magic, but that's for skin.
Yeah, for the part that what you're trying to do, you can actually use DOA, dioctide adipate, or you can use another one. It's called benzyl benzoate. Yeah, we have both. You're gonna need to use one of those ingredients, and it's gonna basically, it's gonna do the same thing, similar thing, but it's only for wax. Yeah, yeah. Those are two different worlds, you know, wax and perfumes. Benzyl benzoate or DOA. The DPG cannot, no.
Right. So I can use the DPG in the perfume, so I didn't realize I could use DPG in the perfume. I just use DPG for the incense.
No, DPG is really good for perfumes too. Oh yeah, yeah. DPG is really good for incense, but perfumes, yes. You can also use a little bit of ambroxan. Yeah, that's gonna give that nice feel. If 10% ambroxan will actually be very good for your candles. It's gonna give you that nice, calm, huh? We are. Next one that we're actually gonna do in 15 days, we are gonna actually do a class where you guys can actually bring your project and work for an hour. Any fragrance that should not be mixed together?
Or is it like you can just mix anything?
No, it's not that. There's no wrong and right rule in fragrance. Fragrance is a creative part. Basically, you're sitting in a sandbox and you're creating anything. So let's say, for example, if you decided to go and use, which is like the forbidden fragrances, for example. If you're making a fragrance and what's the application, that's very important. So, for example, if you want to go ahead and make a fragrance that smells like clove, just making an example. But you want to make it for the skin, but then you have to be very careful how much you want to use because actually can be very irritant to the skin. Or if you want to use cinnamon fragrance, and you say, hey man, I would love to put some cinnamon in there. And if you're putting cinnamon in there, and then cinnamon actually is causing the skin to irritate, then the customers will say, hey man, it just gives me sneezing. Or so those are the ones that I would actually be careful, like the citrus, clove, cinnamon, any kind of like, you know, those side of the fragrances, I would be careful how much to use in there in a fragrance. Yeah, besides that, everything pretty much is good. As long as you're using body oil grade, which we actually have here, you're very safe. Unless you're going on the essential oil side, then you have to be like very careful. Okay, now you're using pure essential oils, you need to have some dilutions.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you guys for coming, man. Appreciate it. Glad you came with the baby, you know.
And see that they behave themselves.
Wow.
A little baby.